Hello, you guys come on in. I'll put a link in the description below, and you're more than welcome to join. Let's see, it's in the live chat, and it is in the comments. Hmm. Hello. No? Somebody? Hey, what's up, Zanos? Feel free to come in if you want. Ooh, I'm gonna take off this shirt. All right, Silver sounds good. What's up, Iron Alias? How y'all doing? Sorry that the stream was a little bit all over the place. I had really planned on making an edited video, but I suck at it. Like, I suck at editing, I guess, or whatever. But I'm doing something wrong. I keep just fucking shit up. So if anybody knows anybody who can edit videos that would be willing to walk me through a tutorial, I've watched tutorials and I guess I'm just not getting it. But I would greatly appreciate some assistance in that area. I mean, if it's a good live thing, then that's great. I just feel like I stammer and ramble too much when I'm live, and I lose track. And I had a lot more that I wanted to say that I didn't, but I just stopped because I was talking for so damn long. Well, thanks, Maya. Yeah, I mean I think that's what it's all about. Like, I mean, as long as you try, I give somebody credit, out there who's just trying to, educate somebody, even if they screw up and get some things wrong. At least they're trying, and they're not being, just stuck in their position. They're willing to go out and do at least some research. Nobody's coming in. Math Pig, get in here. So, oh, never mind. I won't tell everybody that we're secretly long lost cousins. Well, I kind of did. Sorry. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I like it. But also get that. Still buffering.
Ooh.
Hey, Silver.
What's up?
Oh, nada. It's hotter than hell. What are you up to?
Oh, same. Being hot. Extremely
Well,
hot.
for coming to the live show and staying through all of that insanity.
Do it.
I said thank you for coming to the live show and staying through all of that insanity.
Oh, it wasn't insane. It
It
wasn't
was
insane.
two. It was 2 hours long. Like I was like, it'll be like an hour tops.
Okay, well, I do have like catching up to do, but what's insane about that? Like, you know, people wouldn't be there if they didn't want to hear you talk. Just saying.
Yeah, but I talked too much. I was like, I want to make an edited video, make everything short and sweet and to the point, and that just went right out the freaking window.
Oh, what's the fun in that? There's no fun in short and sweet and to the point. Come on now.
I mean,
You gotta have some
don't.
chatter and some back and forth and some like, you know, giggling at shit people put in live chat.
Well, yeah, but if you're back and forthing with yourself, like that's I don't know. There might be something wrong
You
there.
were engaging with the video. It wasn't just yourself. It's not like you responded to your own video. That would have been strange. Don't do that. That's weird.
It's like that kid who comes home and like remembers all the mean things the kids at school say. He just grabs his teddy bear and he's like, "Yeah, fuck you. I don't like you anyways. You're not my friend."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I guess I'm catching up to do. I caught you late. Oh, I literally just like got on YouTube and I was like, what the fuck's going on? What did I miss?
Where'd you
oh, Jim's live.
Where'd you come in at?
I've only been there for like the last 30 minutes of it. Maybe 40. And now my cat is chewing my plant. Of course. Why wouldn't he be? But no, it was good. Now I have to like go watch both things so that I know what the fuck is going on.
Well, I mean, if you watch mine, it goes through the whole video. I don't. It's not edited or anything. But I'll watch the whole video. It's only 20 minutes.
Oh, that's right. You were playing the whole thing live. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier that way. I'm not really.
Yeah. Well, I don't want anybody to accuse me of like taking them out of context. And I usually don't respond to her either. But I was like, it's a 20-minute video. Like, why not?
Yeah. Especially if, you know, you're well versed on the subject matter, which you seem to be. So.
Yeah, and I didn't get to, you know, everything that I wanted to. There's one account of an apostle who was crucified upside down, and he was speaking to people for 4 days, and he still didn't die. And so the guy who crucified him felt bad and went out to take him off the crucifix, off the cross, and he was like so hot to the touch that he couldn't touch him. Like he was like, no, like I don't want you to. And then I think like he exploded or something into like a bright burst of light, and yeah, crazy shit. and milk, fucking milk.
Well,
who brings Oreos?
Bring the milk.
Like who brings Oreos to an execution? Somebody who knows that Paul's got milk in his neck. That's who.
Oh, this is true. It's very true. I wonder when maybe that's, you know, where we got Oreos from in the first place. They're like, dude, some dude is like juicing milk over here. Like, we need cookies for this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I'm currently trying to see if my other device is no longer dead because I can't see live chat. So hello, live chat. I'm sorry. I don't hate you. I just can't see you.
See, I don't see them either. How do I? Oh, there they are.
Okay.
Were these things supposed to be taken literally? Well, these texts were apocryphal, and these like were early texts, or early enough to be considered for canonization. But
and let's not forget that some of them were actually canonized and then later uncanonized. So like there was a lot of
they were
not with all of them, but just
they were seen as authoritative before canon was established. Like they were used in lectionaries and in speaking, like first Enoch, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to restart.
Yeah, it was Peter that got crucified upside down, and Bartholomew. I think if you there's a couple of them that are said to have gotten crucified upside down.
Oh yeah, they crucified a lot of people upside down. God
Oh yeah, I think that was it. Iron Charioteer. I think that Jesus showed up and took him off the cross, whatever, and disappeared with him, or something like that. It was. Oh, I'm trying to remember. That's gonna bother me.
Uh-uh. Okay,
There-
I'll
There's
be
there, there's so
right
much
back. I have to
so
go
much to
sneak
fucking
my
remember.
tablet real quick because
Yeah,
my
go
brother
for
did
it.
not log out of the computer. So yeah, I'll be right back.
Go for it. If anybody wants to come into the chat, feel free to come in. Don't be shy. Links in the description. Uh, Come on in. Let's see. Yeah, I mean that would be an awful way to go if that's actually how they went. And I mean, and there's like Papias says that John was killed and that he was some say that he was crucified and some say he was beheaded, and then some say that he just died of old age, that he
Okay,
just lived out his life in a prison in Patmos.
I'm back.
Hola.
All right, I'm trying to pull up YouTube on my tablet. Yeah, my brother was doing some homework. I don't want to log him out because then he will lose his assignment, which I don't feel like getting yelled at. Don't yell at me. I'm fragile.
Yeah, I don't like getting yelled at either.
Right?
It's like an instant shutdown.
It's not fun. Well, I don't know. It depends on who you are and like why you're yelling at me. Either I shut down or well, my ass will bite back.
Oh yeah, or like if I'm like on train tracks, they're like, "There's a train," and I'm like, "Don't be mean," and just like sit down. Just, I'm not putting up with this.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean beyond that, like yeah,
Uh,
it just depends on
oh,
who it is and why.
that's actually Iron Charioteer. Actually, that's one of the later accounts of him being crucified upside down as a show of respect for Jesus, saying that he didn't deserve to die the same way that Jesus went, but rather its earliest interpretation is that he wanted to be crucified upside down because he saw things from the view of somebody who was just being born into the world. They say that he came into the world upside down, head first, and he wanted to leave the world upside down.
Sounds like a good way to go. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just being on a cross, like, seems a little much.
Well, I mean, I have a. Never mind. I have a cross. Long story.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A St. Andrew's cross.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's the X or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Out of respect for Jesus, I want to die in bed at 99, surrounded by my harem. Yeah. Yeah. Out of respect for Jesus, I want to be martyred by wine, just death by wine. It's like, no, I don't want this. I don't.
Yeah, as soon as I came in, I was like, damn, I wish I drank. Feels like I need alcohol for this.
Feels like I
I need
don't.
wine for this conversation.
Are there any external documents to confirm these statements or just failed gospels? Yeah, Maya. Tertullian, a lot of the early church fathers, Clement of Alexandria, Hegesippus, Josephus. There's a lot of people outside of apocryphal works, like these anonymous texts for the most part, that do hold these early beliefs.
Somebody needs to get their ass in here that
Yeah,
is on his level, because
yeah.
I haven't read this shit since I was in my 20s. I'm old, okay?
Oh, I mean, I'm not on any level. Like, just get in the lane and just don't brake check me. Like, that's all.
Don't preach at me.
Math pig. If you don't get in here, I'm gonna have to buy a ticket.
Math pig, holla.
I don't. Okay, yeah, I would see somebody in the thing. Uh, my so yeah. That as far as I know, I think Eusebius may say that. But Eusebius is basically like the Donald Trump of church fathers. He's just a habitual
Oh,
liar. You can't
God.
really take anything that he says for granted, which is why I don't trust many of his recordings of Papias. Even Irenaeus didn't trust Eusebius.
Okay, please tell me I'm not alone in my hatred for Constantine.
No,
Back me up here. Okay, good.
yeah, but
We're good.
and what's interesting is he wasn't even a Christian when
No,
he
he.
made Christianity the official
Thank
religion of
you.
Rome.
No, he wasn't. He did it purely for political gain and power. That's it. That's the only
Yeah,
reason he did it.
and he didn't even get baptized until he was fixing to go into war, and he got baptized in the river on the way to war. Well, that's what he wanted, but he ended up like almost dying before then, and yeah.
Yup. Okay. Uno momento. I'm gonna mute my audio real quick
Oh,
because my phone's about to be loud.
all right. Okay, Matt Pig, I forgive you. I'm sorry. Not sorry for being so hard on you. Sorry, I just want you to do better. You know, I just want so much more from you. But, you know, it's whatever. What's up, Orla? What's your excuse? The link is in the live chat.
Okie dokie. Sorry about that. Had to feed my
No,
kitty
you're
cat,
good.
and I didn't want to burst your eardrums with the clitter clatter. Anyway, because it is loud. Like, I accidentally did that one night on a live stream. I was
Oh
like, oh,
man.
no big deal. Like, I just have my earbuds in. I'm going to feed my cat. And everybody, like, collectively, there were like 6 people there, everyone at the same time. What? Oh my God. Ah, what the hell is that? I'm like, oh, oops, that was me. I was feeding my cat. Like,
Yeah,
damn, rest in peace,
there's
headphone users.
there's a dude I talk to on Discord, and I swear every time that I'm in the same server as him, it's like he's like crunching on aluminum foil. That's what it sounds like.
Maybe he is. Maybe that's his thing, I don't know. I'm sure it's somebody's thing. Actually, I've known people that legit, like, just stuck a wad of aluminum in their mouth and, like, started chewing on it like it was bubble gum.
Oh my gosh, please don't start calling me Daddy Mustache. Please.
Okay, that's cute. No, don't. I'm not calling him Daddy Mustache.
Daddy Mustache, do 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 do. Daddy Mustache, do 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 do.
Oh dear God. Help
Baby Mustache, do 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 do.
There you go. Everybody can just call your mustache baby. Baby Jim. What's that, Baby Jim?
That's cringy. That's just nah. I just at least the bed. No. I need salsa.
I love the.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not the thing.
You look like you're trying to lap up some neck milk over there.
I keep thinking that's my cat that I'm hearing.
That's probably good.
Because
He's getting in trouble.
He's annoying as shit. If he can see the bottom of his food bowl, he has an automatic feeder with the bowl at the end of it. And if he eats down too much without the food falling out, he comes up to me like freaking out, like, the food's not coming out. You got to do something.
Yeah. It's like, I'm starving, even though there's still food right there. I'm starving. I can see the bottom of it. No.
Basically.
I'm like, dude, what the seriously? And my older cat is even worse. Like, when her bowl gets about literally halfway, she's like, bitches nonstop. She will not stop mooing. And she literally sounds like a dying cow. Like, she makes this sound that doesn't even sound like a cat. Everyone asks me, like, what the hell is that sound? I'm like, that's my cat. And they're like, are you serious? Yeah. Like, she literally sounds halfway between a dying cow and a duck. It's like this weird, like, moo quack. It's very strange.
Halfway between a duck and a cow.
Yes. It's just a very prolonged...
I'm about to go all Kent Hovind on you and say, we don't see cow kinds coming from duck kinds. There's no such thing as a goddamn kind. It's like a pineapple.
Oh my God.
this is some SpongeBob Elementary. It's just queer. This is queer to me.
Oh, I fucking hate Kent Hovind. Oh my god, the dude.
What, you don't like what he says? Water.
Oh my lord. I can't with him anymore. I was binging on like Kent Hovind responses and debates for a long time, and then like I finally got to a breaking point where it broke my brain, and I was just like,
Did you ever watch
I
mine?
literally have lost brain cells now. Thank you. I don't know. Have I seen yours? I'm trying to think. Hold on.
I don't know. I do like the scriptural though. I'm not like the
I
evolution
think I've
versus
seen.
religion.
Yeah, I think I've seen one of yours. Because before I ever met you, I know I saw it because I was already accepted. I saw something from you. What'd you get down?
Iron Territorial says, Jim, do you think SJ and other Christians are victims of historical sugarcoating? Yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Doctor, oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank on her name? She's gonna kill me. You know what? I'm just not even gonna say it because then she'll know that I'm talking about her and then she'll kill me. So I'm just not even gonna say it. Next story.
Okay.
Shit. Dr. Misha Griffin. Oh my God.
Oh, Math Pig, are you backstage?
Oh yeah.
Look for Math Pig.
What is up, man?
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
I'm not too bad, and I'll only jump in for a couple of minutes because I should be going to bed. Like somebody had me up late last night, and then I had to go to fucking work today, and the fella was off, so I was at work all day by myself.
Yeah. Well, and then to be fair, and then you hopped in my live stream. So.
I did fall asleep on the sofa earlier, so that's an excuse. Naps are great. Naps are great.
Well, thank you, by the way. Whether you were awake or not, I got minutes watched. So
I'll jump in for a few minutes just to say hi.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it.
How you been doing aside from working and all that jazz?
Everything. Got other stuff. I don't know. My dog passed away last week, which was sad enough. But he was very sick, so it needed to be done, and it was best for him and best all around. So, bar that and work, it's just life, you know. I found out me and Jim might be related, and bar that was very exciting.
I love when I find out that I might be related to people on the internet. It's very interesting. I'm like, oh shit. I think we're related. Like there's someone, and I can't actually remember who at the moment.
As long as it's not your boyfriend, whenever you find that out, you're all right. Like,
you know, me and my ex actually did have an ongoing conversation the entire time we were together about that scenario and if it ever happened. Only because I know a couple that actually are related, and just to be upfront, they didn't find out until after they were married. They found out from a doctor of all people. They have the same sperm donor. They were both sperm donor babies, and they had the same donor. So that's how that happened.
Yeah, I've seen something like that before.
Yeah.
There's like a guy that had 200 kids or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They have, I mean, especially when you consider, you know, IVF and just like all the things and capabilities we have now to help women get pregnant or to help couples in general conceive, like, especially when someone has, to put it bluntly, very popular sperm, you know, they can impregnate 200 to 500 or 1,000 women for that matter if you're a regular donator. So yeah, it's a thing. And then your children grow up and, you know, they were raised by their parents that raised them, not their sperm donors, obviously. So, and some of them don't even know that they were a donor baby. And so, you know, they go off into the world, they meet people, they date, they fuck, they date, they marry, they have kids. And it turns out, ooh, we're related. Weird.
Yeah, I doubt they would post it all around the country. So again, it would be used in a small area. Chances of meeting someone that you're related to goes up.
Exactly.
How is it that every time we get in a chat together, it goes to incest?
I know. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not guilty. I didn't do anything.
I didn't say you're guilty. I'm just saying maybe you want to be guilty. I don't know.
No,
Keeps it in the gutter. She
I'm
likes it in the
good.
gutter.
Thank you. Yeah, I like it in the gutter, but other than that, I'm good. You know, not incesting. I'm good.
Oh man,
Is
that's
that not what you
hilarious.
do in America when
No,
you're growing up?
I
You
feel
practice
like
with your
we.
cousin, no?
Oh God.
Go practice. It's just practice. It's like
No.
skeet shooting.
Fuck no. I don't even. Well, I don't know. You never know. That could be a thing. I don't even know it because I don't actually know my cousins. So.
You
I
know,
don't
you
know.
think you don't know your cousins.
Oh shit! How did this get turned around on me? Stop!
um,
No, why are we picking
well,
on me?
well, you
Well, me and
see,
Jim talked about everything last night. We've nothing left to talk about, so it's all you guys, Silver.
that's
Oh,
true.
okay.
We did. Do you know how late I stayed up? Well, I know I stayed up until you went to work. I mean,
Yeah, that was like 7:30 nearly. My time.
oh, geez.
I've done that before. I need to start doing it a lot more, but I keep getting sick. God damn it!
Like respiratory infection or what?
No, well, I have a muscle spasm condition, and it's just painful and it sucks. And then I also have something going on with my stomach that they have no fucking clue what's wrong with me, where I just like randomly get violently sick until I end up having to go to the hospital. It's fun.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
They thought it was my gallbladder, and the surgeon he scheduled me for surgery to have my gallbladder removed. And I was like, why did you schedule me for surgery? I didn't consent. Like, I'm not signing the papers. Like, no, you're not fucking taking my organ out when you don't even know that that's the problem. And so I declined. I went home. And then a month later, they ended up, I went back to the ER because I got sick. They ended up admitting me, and I stayed in the hospital for a week. And during that week was the only time that it occurred to anyone to run a HIDA scan, which is a scan that actually shows the functionality of your gallbladder. And yeah, my HIDA scan was at 100%. So the problem is not my gallbladder. But if I had let them go through with the surgery, I wouldn't have a gallbladder and I would still be sick. Probably more sick. So yeah. Good thing I didn't do that.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be good.
Yeah, this is why I'm right. This is why I'm anti unnecessary surgery. Well,
I mean,
like,
don't get me wrong. You know, I have looked up the going rate for a kidney more than once.
Oh shit! Well, I only have one kidney. Like it's just like one. They're fused together, so it's literally like one huge kidney. So my kidneys can't be separated. So
You have a super kidney.
if you take out my kidney,
massive.
you'll kill me. You can't take my kidney. No. I mean, if I had to, I might, like, you know, depending on how much money was in it for me, like how much you were going to split with me, I might be into that, you know, make some dough on the side. But I ain't got one to spare, man.
But if you're going to make that deal with somebody that shady, like what's going to stop them, like when they have you under, it's like, $20,000 for one kidney, or I could just take both and not give her any money.
Well, this is why you don't actually go to sleep. I mean, you know, you can have surgery without actually being asleep, right? Like they just give you the...
Yeah, but fuck that.
Yeah, it'll hurt
well,
like hell.
Well, as long as you know like, I wouldn't do it with a stranger. Like, I would do it with somebody I trust. Like, just give me a paralytic and then give me a painkiller. I'm good. You know, and
just
do
chat to them.
Or not a painkiller, a numbing agent. I'm sorry.
You can have a game, you know. Guess what I ate before we went in here. Oh, can you see it? Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, that's actually a really weird, like, factoid about me. Like, I am very hard to anesthetize. So for almost every surgery I've ever had in my lifetime, which is a lot, I'm always awake, or I have woken up in the middle of surgery. And I don't freak out. I don't, like, everyone else freaks out, but I'm very calm and relaxed. And like, I've seen my own heart, and like, that was dope. It was
That's
cool.
pretty cool. That is actually pretty cool.
It was really cool.
That's wild.
I liked it. I was like, this is so awesome.
I bet you Orla would like that. She's under her heart. There's your heart.
Hmm. I don't know. I used to want to be a doctor, so it doesn't. I don't know. I've never been bothered about blood and stuff like that. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't faze me.
Yeah, I don't mind blood. Blood's all right.
Now I just want to be a shrink because I'm never gonna go to med school because it's not gonna happen.
Well, here, I'm going to leave you to the conversation. Just thought I'd jump in, say hi, and I'm going to try and get a couple hours sleep.
No.
Awesome, man. Well, have a good night, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, talk to you tomorrow.
Well.
Good luck.
Later, man.
Rah, 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 rah.
Rah, 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 rah. Hey, Dr. Misha, feel free to
that sounds like some love talk.
to come in here. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and we're talking history, so maybe you can shed some light on 1st through 4th century Roman rule.
Yes, please do. Not a topic I am well versed in at the age of 34. Now, if you had caught me at 23, yeah, most definitely.
I'm a little rusty, but I make it.
I remember enough to when people give me enough information, it clicks in my head, I know what you're talking about, but I'm not well versed enough that I would ever start a debate or a conversation because
Gotcha.
I'm very limited in the things I actually remember and am able to state with actual certainty. Exactly.
Yeah.
With competence and certainty. Yeah.
Right,
and I'm not one of the people, I do not whatsoever enjoy talking out of my ass. Typically when I talk, it's either joking or I speak about shit I actually know about, not shit that I'm uncertain about. So.
Yeah, there's, and I don't know, he's probably in the chat, he's probably watching this. His name's, goes by Epic Christ on Twitter. And he always just makes claims, just boom, just drops a claim. And just thinks that people are going to buy it, and I know him well enough that when I see a claim that doesn't look right, I'm like, that is most certainly pulled out of an ass, and I need to investigate and see which ass that came out of.
Oh, Lord. I hate when people do that. It's so annoying. But this is why I'm very limited on, shit that I read on people's Twitter. I'm just you're full of shit. No. Oh, you're full of shit too. No.
Yeah. It's we're full of shit together. We're just a bunch of shit bags in a shithole, making our way through a shit storm. It's just shitty. Great.
Pretty much.
I gotta take a shit.
Other humans that, for people who talk about religion and a book that they think so highly of, they certainly act like human pieces of garbage. So, and I just can't respect that. Whatever. But, to each their own. As I like to say, whatever floats your boat, as long as it doesn't sink someone else's.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I forgot Dr. Misha. She started back up at school. Her summer break is over.
Oh, nice. Well, not nice. That actually sucks.
I'm sure it's
but education is good. It's good to get an education.
Well, it's good to give an education.
Exactly. I'm just not looking down the comments again.
No kidding, Orla.
I know
your
red
stomach,
pill religion,
gallbladder, 1 lung, 1 kidney, half your liver, your appendix, and about 80% of your colon. Whoa.
Yeah, I saw that. Shit.
People wouldn't cuss in heaven. There are no 4-letter words in heaven. They don't even say duck.
Okay, heaven sounds like literal torture. You're put into slavery for God. I'm just saying.
If you look at our culture, I feel confident that in 50 years we will not need roads. We will start to cycle roads out because we will have flying automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
We will be airborne in 50 years.
Absolutely.
And now think about how long it's been since we came from paved roads, and that's what heaven is. Heaven has paved roads. Why? Because they expect that you're going to be walking on them. They don't even expect you to think you're going to be driving a car on them. Now, how are they going to? How is that imagery and that iconography going to be relevant in the 22nd century or in the 23rd century when technology is so developed that we're buzzing around in cars and they're like, what's paved roads, man? Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, this is why most churches are dying, and most faiths are dying out, because like you conform or die, you evolve or die, and then even within the church, there's only so much you can evolve to the point where. What are you going to do next? Just be an atheist church? No. So, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's only so many runs.
Well, I actually know in Austin, I know a Methodist preacher, preaches at a Methodist church. Spoke there with Seth Andrews. I have a picture with him in front of the stained glass window with the cross and everything. But the preacher at that church was an atheist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they had a huge pride flag stretched across the back of the church.
Okay, I've seen Methodist churches with the pride flag. I have seen that, which doesn't surprise me too much because, like I said, it's conform or die. You know, when you don't, especially the more your beliefs don't, or let me reword that. I can't speak. The more your beliefs contradict the social standard, the more problems you're going to have. You're not going to have people joining your church. You're going to have people that are already members slowly dying out or leaving. You're not going to have newcomers. So it becomes a problem. So then they have to adopt new beliefs and expand upon what they've already taught.
Right, exactly. Well, and it's not even that they hold those beliefs. It's just that they recognize those beliefs to be immoral. You know, I'm sure that at some point it was like that with slavery, where people were like, "Oh, this church preaches pro-slavery." Like, not really about that.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely, without a doubt. Shit, we have where I'm from. We actually have like monuments and shit, and for that matter, like little historical. What would you call it? I guess like tourism spots that you can go to that include a hell of a lot of churches that show you like the way that they used to preach in those times and the text that they used and the hymns they sang and things like that. And a lot of them in the South were very pro-slavery. And they pointed to specific Bible verses, you know, to justify their position. But
there was a preacher who actually published a book that taught preachers and slave owners how to teach their slaves the Bible, and in fact, it even started out. It was the catalyst for the development of the slave Bible, where they essentially expounded upon things like slaves should submit to their masters and be a good slave and don't run away. And
right, because they weren't allowed to. At first, they weren't allowed to read, and specifically the Bible. They were not allowed to read. That was forbidden. You could be punished by death for that. But later, they taught them to read specifically just so that they could read a condensed version of the Bible that was written, like you said, for the slaves mainly. And it focused all on, well, frankly, that, you know, slaves submit to your masters and that type of rhetoric and be obedient to your parents, you know, shit like that.
But there's also like a messianic tone to it. So it gave them hope. It gave them, you know, something to look forward to after this, you know, like, well, if I just work hard enough and if I'm just a good enough person, whether I'm a slave or not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Bob! Oh my God, what's up, Bob? Get your ass in here. What are you doing?
Hi, Dr. Misha.
Hello, Jim. Hi, Silver.
Misha! Hey.
How are you?
How you doing? I'm up really late, so I look like
streams. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Jim, I've been grading, so I didn't get to see all of your show.
Oh, it's okay. So, you probably missed a bunch of stammering. You can probably just skip over most of it.
No, it was good. It was not a bunch of stammering. I'm gonna go back and watch the parts that I missed.
Yeah, because I'm looking forward to do that too. I was going to do that, but you were on now, so I can't avoid that live button.
That's so awesome. Like I had no idea that you were even here, and I was just talking about you, and then you just pop up, and I was like, no freaking way! Like,
That's true.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of tells me maybe I spend too much time on YouTube. Nah.
I mean, how else are you supposed to spend your time?
Grading papers, writing quizzes, doing things for my students, answering emails, reading.
Right.
Oh yeah, and there's that research stuff.
Oh, and how's Jerry? Like, don't you feed him sometimes?
Sometimes actually.
Oh, that was weird.
That was weird.
That was weird. That was very weird.
I was like, uh-oh. And then everybody just started spiraling. I'm like, oh, okay, good. It's not just me.
It's like we're playing like musical boxes.
Yep.
Where everybody's a winner. Because somebody doesn't know you're supposed to take a box out when they start dancing.
I know. Now that StreamYard finally caved to the demands of the people, I need to hurry up and put up my profile picture instead of a big white circle. Anyway.
Oh.
I just thought you were using just kind of austere aesthetics.
Right?
Yeah. That's totally my goal. I did it with intent.
Well, Dr. Misha, what is your what do you think about the early persecution of Christians? Do you think this was something that was systemic, and if so, like under whose reign?
Well, Jerry and I are going to be doing a show, actually a series of shows on Rome, coming up within a couple of weeks, and so we've been doing a huge amount of research on it. But I've been taking more the Roman Republic, and he's been taking more of the Roman Empire, which is where the real thing happened. Hi.
Talking about.
Oh, talking to Jim about early church.
Early? Oh, you joined us.
You want to join?
Hi, Jerry.
Get up in the morning. The early church, be more specific.
Have a seat.
200s, 300s.
Oh, yay.
It's all right.
Yeah, go.
No. I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
But I just feel like butting in.
Oh, he just wanted to butt in.
Well, that's great. I love it.
I have a whole bunch of
He has a huge pile.
Double the fun.
He said he has a huge pile of opinions, but he's got to go to bed now. Good night.
So there's for those who don't know, there's a distinguishment to be made between two different.
Tales of the Gods are greatly exaggerated.
There's a distinguishment to be made between two different periods of Roman rule. One would be considered the Principate era, and it was from 31 BCE until 284 CE. And then from 284 to 476, that was the Dominate ring era. Dominate era.
Two Romes.
Right. And the first one, essentially, the emperor had power, but he didn't have absolute power. He still had a senate to keep him in check, and he still had to come for them for certain things. But in the Dominate era, that was the Caesar is God era. That was the you do not question the emperor, and he has absolute rule. He can overthrow senate even. Which is interesting because most of that rule is by military leaders. Even though their reigns are short, it's by military leaders that are actually pretty vicious. Some of them, but it started out as pagan originally, but then very shortly with after the Edict of Milan in 313, and then Constantine's alleged conversion into Christianity, do you think that Constantine was a Christian when he made Christianity the official religion of Rome, Dr. Misha?
I think he might have been. I haven't read his writings. I think that would tell us better. if he was or not, but he found it politically important to do that. He
Sure.
didn't have to do that.
We were talking about that earlier.
Right.
Romans were what, 5% of the population?
If that, yeah.
Mhm.
In some places they were vastly outnumbered, and they only had some semblance of stature because of the proconsuls.
Right. But but the Christian church was going. You know,
Mhm.
it had some structure, but Constantine and then those after him gave it that hierarchical structure, and basically kicked
Oh,
the
yeah.
women out of the whole
Well,
of the whole
Constantine
thing.
fucked us.
Well,
Like,
well-
it's really crazy, the history
but-
and precedent he set.
But looking at it from Constantine's position, he grew up in an era where the Christians were persecuted, and he saw this in real time. This was something that would be very life-changing for a boy. I can imagine him taking an almost social justice warrior position and standing up and doing this as saying, no more persecution, no more oppression.
Well, don't forget, Constantine, when the Tetrarchy was there, Constantine's father had the portion of the empire that was Gaul.
Yes.
And Spain and what we now know as Great Britain. And so that wasn't really around that metropole that was Rome.
Mhm.
And so I think he thought differently. He grew up in a very different area than most of the other people.
Yeah. I agree.
That
I
might
think
have
he
been
wanted
very
power,
formative.
and he found an easy way to get it.
Yeah, but that's if you had such a small population, that this is why some people think that Constantine's conversion was not sincere.
Mm-hmm.
If he was only going after 5% of the people, I mean that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I don't think he was
sincere.
going. Yeah, I don't think he was going after the 5%. I don't think he was like after converting anybody. I think that he just thought that it was the best political play to maintain peace with everybody.
Same. Yeah,
Well,
I don't think he did it for religious reasons.
Well,
at least not in the beginning. More.
But they kind of did though, because they saw this church structure, and they saw the power and the people's willingness to obey, and I think that he also saw an opportunity to influence these bishops and
I think there's a crucial thing to understand about the difference between the Roman polytheistic religion versus the Christian religion, and that is exclusivity versus inclusivity. Romans adopted whatever gods came along. Isis, Mithras, whoever showed up, they could be in the pantheon too. Whereas Christianity was strictly a very exclusive religion.
Right. Well, because in Christianity would often even refuse to pray to their own God on behalf of Rome. And sometimes that's all that they would want. They said, look, you don't even have to make a libation in the temple. You don't even have to worship our God. You don't, just pray to your God for us. The Christians said, no.
Yep.
That's an interesting point, because the Romans would have, as I said, accepted just about anyone coming in. Whereas if you've got Christianity, nope, they're not going to play along. And even the Hebrews, they had arranged to have the monotheistic permission because they paid a tax. But Christians had never negotiated that tax.
Well, and they were also respected because they pre-existed Nero, so people were already raised around this belief. Second Temple Judaism was long a part of Hellenized Judea, and it wasn't strange to them. And the early Christians, I mentioned this in my video, the early Christians weren't able to be distinguished easily early on from the Jews because their beliefs were so similar. But it wasn't until they started wailing about woe is Jerusalem and woe is Israel, and saying King of the Jews, and talking about Jesus's return, and they also talked about how weak they were and how unwilling they were to stand up for what they believe in, and I mean, it made them an easy target. The Greeks called them superstitio. They said that they were weird. That's where we get the word for superstitious or superstition. That's that they were kooky. Like what they did just doesn't make sense.
Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that.
What?
Jim, you keep forgetting. My knowledge is 3,000 miles wide and 2 inches deep.
Oh, I just keep walking in one direction. I'm like, this sure is a. It's kind of like that guy who flew the airplane for the first time, and he took his friend up with him, and he came down, and I don't know how they did, but they stopped within inches at the end of the runway, and they said, "Man, I can't believe we made that." He said, "Look how short that runway is." He said, "Yeah, but it sure is wide, though, isn't it?"
Whoops.
Oh, Bub has an interesting question. What does everyone have to say about the hypothesis that Jesus was an invention of the state of Rome to quell the Jews living in the empire who wanted revolution?
The Flavian Jesus hypothesis. I don't take much stock in it.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's essentially that the whole Jesus story in Christianity itself was cooked up by the Roman elite as a way to control the Jews and exactly.
It's very interesting. I actually finished about a month ago watching a bunch of documentaries.
It's interesting until you stop watching Richard Carrier videos, and then it doesn't get interesting anymore.
Oh, okay. Really? Is that where it stops?
Yeah, that's about for me. That's where it stopped.
He's the only interesting one.
Well, but still, if you're an emperor and you have ultimate power in the Roman Empire, why do you need more power?
Mm-hmm. But why do you have to make anything? Why do you have to make Christianity the official religion? Why can't you maintain the city's deity? Why can't you maintain Apollo or Jupiter or or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting idea.
Because maybe there was something that it didn't serve someone's interest. You got to get rid of the women somehow. Come on now.
I just find it funny that SJ thinks that there were 33 million Christians by like the 5th or 6th century, she said. And then she said that early Christians didn't have sex. And I'm like, SJ, how does this happen?
How do you populate? Like, I can't. No, I won't.
I can see where she would get that idea. I can see where you could misinterpret what's being said, and they did practice that ascete, and I have a terrible time pronouncing that ascete lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like the Essenes. But it's, as far as not having sex, I think it was only a handful, maybe.
Right. It's like stoicism with extra steps. Like, who wants that?
Stoicism is bad enough, but yeah.
Oh man.
But was she? What was her major point about?
That basically Christianity is true because the apostles were martyred and nobody would die for a wrong belief, especially somebody who would be eyewitnesses.
I believe this, and I'm willing to die for it. Therefore, it's true.
And I walked through every single contradiction, every single variant from every single church father, from every single scriptural source about anything from Peter creating a sinkhole that swallows the temple of serpents in where was it? Anyways, swallowed a temple and 7,000 men, to Paul being beheaded and milk coming out of his neck. These are all the earliest accounts of martyrdom.
Okay.
Yeah. No. And they're never for their belief, and they never do it willingly. I mean, if you disagree with me, please say so. But I don't believe that a martyr was supposed to be anything less than willing to die for their faith. But yet, you see the apostles running from the Roman elite, that they go from town to town, hiding in these house churches, preaching their gospel. And yeah, they're still preaching their gospel, but they're hiding. They're not martyrs. They're not doing this willingly. They don't want to die.
No.
And most of them, when they get arrested, like I said, it's not for their faith. It's for something else they did.
Exactly.
Well, you certainly start out with, especially female martyrs that are going willingly.
Yes.
I can't remember her name.
In the Colosseum, the woman with her slave.
Yes.
Yes.
And that a handful that would die willingly, but the records don't play out the supposed thousands of people being slaughtered in the Colosseum, that sort of thing.
Right.
It was not the Roman records do not show that kind of wholesale slaughter.
SJ was saying that Nero was having Christians thrown to the lions in the Colosseum. I said, SJ, the Colosseum wasn't built until after the destruction of the temple, about 70 to 74.
Yep. Yeah. The Flavian Amphitheater, or as we know it, the Colosseum, was built on Nero's Golden Palace. That was torn down, and the Colosseum built on top of it. So
I was about to say, maybe that happened at Circus Maximus. That's possible. But
Circus Maximus was open. It was a chariot venue. They didn't do anything but chariot races there.
Right.
Well,
I thought they did executions there.
Maybe. I don't know completely if they did or not.
I could have sworn that they did, and like that's where like the idea for the gladiators came from.
The gladiators were earlier. The gladiators are gladiators, strangely enough, are Etruscan.
Oh, really?
The people who were there before the Latins came over the Alps.
Was it done then as a punishment, or was it like a rite of passage, or?
It was games. It was a performance thing. Maybe it was part religious ritual. Because we cannot read the Etruscans' writing, we don't quite know what it was. It's kind of like at the Palace of Knossos on Crete with the bull riders or the bull jumpers.
Okay.
We don't know why.
Right, like the rubber ball game with the Aztecs and the sacrificing of the opposite team.
Exactly. Probably didn't happen, but
right.
We don't know. We don't, it's the anthropologists like to talk about that thin knowledge versus that thick knowledge.
Well, yeah, it's like the martyrdom of Christians in the Colosseum. There is zero, not even a little bit of evidence of that in the archaeological record or in the textual record. There is something about a monk coming in much later. I want to say it's like the 6th or 7th century, and says, "In the name of Jesus, stop this." And then 4 years later, they stop it, and they attribute it to the monk. And SJ claims the only reason that the Colosseum's around is because it's a tribute to Christian martyrdom.
What?
It was it was really useful in the Middle Ages. They kept cattle in it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they also and a lot of the churches that were built around there in the fourth and 5th century, the steps and the floors are made from bricks and rocks from the Colosseum.
Yeah. But the Colosseum is not a one-off building. You can go to there's another one in Spain. I've been to the one in Nimes, France, in southern France.
I've actually been in one of the tunnels that go underneath the Colosseum, and from what I understand, not many people get to do that.
No.
Oh, nice.
No, I'd love to do that because it was really ultimate stagecraft, which is I studied.
The pulleys and levers they had, the
elevators.
They
had elevators.
Yeah,
and
they were lifting freaking bears.
They built forests. You would sit there and watch them as they erected forests just coming out of the ground.
Mm-hmm. Well, they would actually flood it. They would flood it and bring in full-size ships to do sea battles.
There's some arguments about that. They could have flooded it in the very earliest rendition of the Colosseum, But once they gutted the floor and put in all the cells and put in all the stagecraft,
and they completed it all the way around, they couldn't have done that.
yeah, they couldn't have flooded anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, they would have drowned all the lions. They would have been, floating.
Right. Well, and another thing that I didn't get to point out in the video was that if Jews were being so persecuted, then why wasn't it Christian slaves that built the Colosseum instead of Jewish slaves?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think Rome's problem with the Christians was the upset of the civil order.
Yes. Yep. The
was-
refusal to give libation.
Yes,
To the,
well-
Yep.
And men, women, rich, poor, and slaves all being together in the agape love feast.
Yes.
And
Right.
as I tell my students, the Greeks, which most of the educated Romans spoke Greek and a little Latin, but mostly Greek, the Greeks had over 7 words for love.
Yeah.
Agape, which is the
most
selfless love.
Yeah.
Eros, which is sexual love. Storge, which is the love between a husband and wife, I think. There's a whole list. I have a whole list of these different kinds of love. And so if you wanted to denigrate the Christians, you used the wrong word for love, for the agape feasts. You used eros instead of agape.
Right. Yeah.
And you passed that information that, hey, they're having sex.
Mm-hmm.
And Romans were kind of prudish. But they were very, 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 very serious about their religion.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
were so serious that when they would conquer another city-state, they would give sacrifices at the immediately to the temple to that god to thank them for being in the city and saying, "We serve you now." Like,
yes,
yeah,
we're sorry to have hurt your city here. Have something. That's the transactional nature of the polytheist.
Mm-hmm. In fact, whenever they would do the raids afterwards and gather all the loot, they would bring it to the temple, and that's where they would split it up is at the temple.
Yeah, we want to think that they weren't pious, but they were very pious people.
Oh, sure, yeah, but they were pious in their own way.
Yeah.
Yes.
In their own way. Emphasis on.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, well, and with the Christians, like it was almost a threat to them, because they were taking part in the bounty that the gods provide for them, but they're not offering them the mouth service or the lip service. They're not offering them the sacrificial offerings or even the belief. They literally have to, like all the Romans said was, you can believe in whatever God you want to believe in. You just have to believe in mine too.
Right. Or at least give it, give offering.
So I don't know if you saw, but I was on the stream and I gave what I thought was a very heartfelt prayer for everybody in the stream that Jesus would come into their heart. And I think it was a very good prayer. I think my old Pentecostal self would be proud of me. And I said, see, now that didn't hurt me. I said, but the Christians were so adamant about their belief, they wouldn't even act like they were doing it, but there were some Christians who would, and there were some Christians who would commit apostasy and then come back when the heat was off. And there were some Christians who would, because once you gave libation at the temple, then you became an official citizen of Rome and you were given papers, essentially. You're given documentation saying that you were Roman. And people would actually Christians would pay for forged documents, so they would pass off as Roman, but they weren't giving Roman sacrifices. And to me, like, there's really not much of a difference there.
Yeah. It's an interesting story, but to try to make it something it isn't, that's frustrating. Of course, that's been a long tradition.
Oh yeah.
Because for thousands of years we looked at Rome through the eyes of trying to learn Latin. Because very few people bothered to create a good Latin grammar book. They just handed them Livy and said, "This is the good stuff. Learn how to read this," or or Tacitus or Cicero.
Right, right.
Said, this is what good Latin looks like and sounds like. This is how you should do it. To which everyone was saying, yeah, but what do we do with all these mentions of Jupiter and Juno and Apollo and everything like that? Where does that go?
Right.
So you had to, bring in Thomas Aquinas to do that the scholasticism, figure out, okay, well, we do this and this and anyway.
Well, and at the time though, if you came from a Hellenistic background, it wasn't really hard to apologize for that. You were like, oh, these guys are idiots. Like that was ours first.
Cultural appropriation.
Right. Exactly.
How unfeeling of them.
It's like they got my Hermes wearing Nikes. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, but they did dress differently.
Oh, the gods?
No. The Greeks and the Romans.
Oh yeah.
That for some reason they had very different styles. Weird. Anyway.
Yeah, I like to talk about the schism with between Athens and oh shit, why is it skipping me?
Sparta.
Hello, yes, Sparta.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge schism there, which actually changed language as we know it.
How so? You probably know some things that I don't.
Well, if I remember correctly, the Athenians developed a different dialect that Koine Greek wasn't any one particular era. Like Koine Greek was a development of Greek into what we know Greek as today. So if anybody says that they know Koine Greek, then they really don't, because you have to take into context when it was written in Koine Greek as to what a word would mean, or the subject verb object relationship what was how that worked out. So to my understanding, that was the way Greek essentially developed the way to the way it is just the two conflicting dialects.
Well, I think there were a lot more than two.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, the two major.
But you also had the folks on the Ionian Peninsula.
Phoenicians.
And when you read Aristophanes.
Carthage and.
Yeah, well, no, Aristophanes, the comedies, because he's talking about current events when he's writing, he makes fun of the Spartan dialect. I've done a couple of plays by Aristophanes, a couple of the comedies. And usually the people who from Sparta use a very thick Mississippi accent when they do it in English.
That's hilarious.
To get the point across at how different the Spartans were as far as their dialect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Koine Greek was seen as, while everybody spoke it, it was the common language, but it was the common language because it's what the merchants spoke. It's what the poor people spoke. It's what needed to be the most widely communicated. The elite had to speak to the poor, and that was the what they used. But we see in Matthew, we see a much more eloquent Greek. Like the author of Matthew is much more. We can tell that he's a person who's had an education, and a person who's certainly read some sort of Homeric epic.
Okay, so because I can't read the Greek, I wouldn't know, but I was wondering if I hear biblical scholars say, oh well, this particular gospel sounds different from that particular gospel, and I was always wondering, is there like true evidence in the writing that you had someone with a better education than others?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Mark, for example. Mark, while he's written, it's written in a really layman's Greek, in a really what I would call trash Greek. Like it's just a lot of slang, a lot of euphemisms and things like that. But but his structure though is something that is a marvel to me. I love it for that reason. But to me and to some other biblical scholars, it seems as though it was structured in a way as to be performed as like a set of plays, like in like quick sketches, like to present the gospel to people.
How interesting.
Yeah, and it was written in the way that was kind of like a slam poetry style, I guess. And I'm sure you know it's the not only the earliest gospel, but it's also the shortest by far.
Mark? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Of course, that added on a little bit, few verses at the end,
Yeah, the long ending is at
questionable
6.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, 6:14 is it? Or 6:23? I can't remember. But yeah, the long ending of Mark after the women run away from the tomb screaming.
Yeah.
They don't tell the men that they've seen Jesus or that Jesus is risen, or don't say to spread the gospel. Jesus doesn't come back and eat fish with them or walk through doors like he does in John.
Yeah.
But that's something that Christian apologists hinge their belief on is, well, Jesus came back and he appeared to people after he died.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, you're relying on Paul, who doesn't talk about a bodily resurrected Jesus. He never mentions a bodily Jesus, and this is somebody who doesn't mention the empty tomb, and he also doesn't differentiate the resurrection from the ascension. He believes that it's all one event.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in some of the other gospels, it's multiple events.
Right, and there's space in between these events, 40 days to be
Not
exact.
to mention, Jesus wasn't
Pentecost.
unique in that way. There's nothing unique about the crucifixion in Jesus' case, or the resurrection, and like it's not unique. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, as a whole, it's unique, but the individual aspects of it aren't unique.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I hated
crucifixion was a form of Roman execution. Like that's just that. There's nothing special about that. And the sign that they hung on Jesus, it was common for them to hang signs on somebody saying what they had done.
And even, like the story of the resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
And they
really
put on him
right.
They put on him what people see in the paintings. INRI. It's just Was it Jesus Nazareti Rey Jesus. So it's like Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
I totally fucked that up. I shouldn't have smoked.
Whatever, you're a stoner. It's okay.
And that was his charge, was claiming to be King of the Jews.
Yeah, but something I find interesting, especially when thinking back about the artwork, is that you don't see that written out. You have the initials.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always found that fascinating too.
And it would have been written out if it was his crime. That would have been something that would have clearly been written out, not just initials, because that was way too open for interpretation.
Well, in the gospel, it says that he wrote it out. It doesn't say anything about initials. And in fact, in one of them, it says that he wrote it in 3 different languages, I believe.
Really?
It says that he wrote it in Greek and Hebrew and Aramaic.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
That must have been a big sign.
Yeah, it's a big old piece of wood. I mean, yeah.
But interestingly enough, in Christian iconography, it's just the 4 letters, as if to repeat the Tetragrammaton.
Yep. YHWH.
Yes, as if to recollect.
Draw a parallel there.
Yes, and recollecting all of the little signs and symbols, the chi and rho that Constantine was told, under this you will conquer.
Yeah. Well, and there's 2 different accounts. One of them he saw it in a dream, and another one he looked up in the clouds and he saw it.
It's in the clouds, yeah. So definitely I would have to say in I'm not coming to SJ's defense so much as saying that early Christianity was something that was mythic in its absolute existence.
Mhm.
Before it had the structure that was given to it by the Roman emperor,
Sure.
before it had the hierarchy, it was exciting. It was scary. It was secret. It was people scuttling around, and it was, ooh, you might get killed.
And
I think,
yeah, like the Ebionites, for example, like they would have very well have been a very successful religion, and they were for a while.
mhm. But then it, what happened to it?
Yeah, they made it about 300, 400 years, a little bit before Islam emerged.
Okay. Yeah. See, and Muhammad comes along and fixes all this. Make sure that he has that structure in place. No,
Well,
we're not going to go through this again.
yeah,
We're
well,
gonna have a structure.
well,
I'm gonna have
and
5 pillars, and
there were people who were executed who were followers of Muhammad who saw him split the moon in half. So was that belief true?
Right.
How about every Nazi soldier that died in World War II?
How about Joseph Smith, who got stomped to death by an angry mob? He looked in his hat and saw gold tablets.
Yep. If anybody knew, he did.
Yeah, and he not only did he hold on to those beliefs, but his followers held on to those beliefs.
Yeah.
Through
Right.
persecution.
I will say he was stomped to death, kind of deservingly so. Just saying.
Yeah, but and to be fair, I don't think it was for his belief. I think he
No.
did something else.
Yeah, he was very like, oh my god, the fraud that man committed is wow.
He was just a regular old Kent Hovind, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was fixing to compare the two actually.
Kent Hovind with less water.
Water.
Oh man.
Oh. But there's the historical record, and there's what you want to believe. But people die believing something that could, in fact, be patently false, but to them it's perfectly true.
That's true.
To them it's true, and that's
Right.
what counts to them.
Well, and to them, with all of the regulations of Christianity, being offered an opportunity of martyrdom was often seen as a blessing. People would jump at the opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
There are some accounts where people would be martyred. The noonday events or whatever, and they were they were being executed, not necessarily for their belief, but executed for something else. But of course, they were claiming persecution, and they would have people jump out of the stands and get in line to be martyred because there's this early belief of early talkings about people who were burned but didn't taste the fire, or people who were beheaded but didn't feel the sword. Basically, that like the Holy Spirit fills you and you don't feel any pain, and God helps you through it. And there's people who face down lions, and so people are eager to test their faith, and at the same time, if their faith is strong enough, then they think to themselves, justifyingly so, this isn't going to hurt, and this is a one-way ticket to heaven. I don't have to worry about not sinning if I can give myself to Jesus. In fact, Jesus commands us, take up your crosses and follow me.
But we also see throughout history and even today, people who have a desire to become the scapegoat. I'm thinking of the Flagellant movement after the Black Death. There were groups of flagellants that went from town to town and offered themselves up and beat themselves to bloody pulps to try to remove God's wrath from this town, and hopefully it wouldn't be hit by the Black Death. Ironically, of course, with all the bits of flesh and blood flying, they were probably vectors of the plague and not necessarily taking on the wrath of God. But even the Philippines, in Holy Week, there is always a group of men who have themselves, and a few women, who have themselves flogged and crucified.
Mm-hmm.
One
Yes.
guy's done it every year for like 20 years.
Yes, and we're talking
I
nails
have
through the
myself
hand.
flawed,
Yeah,
but
the
it's
whole
never for
9
religious
yards.
purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saying.
Yeah, and well, and the self-flagellation goes way back in the Catholic Church, and they would actually wear like a garter during the day that was barbs digging into their leg that would constantly remind them in
Oh,
between
yeah.
flagellations that they would never not experience pain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, of Dan Brown's the one character, the albino character in Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code.
I've read the book. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
I
there's
love the Da
the
Vinci
assassin
Code.
character is
Uh-huh.
has wears that exact sort of chain thing that you're describing.
Mhm.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I don't know that it was a chain. From what I remember, it was like a leather strap with like barbs is what they would
Yeah.
use. Yeah, it was essentially like a belt. Yeah.
Yeah. But strange. Not my cup of
Very
tea.
strange. Yeah, no, not mine either. I feel like there's a lot of projection when it comes to persecution accounts and accounts of martyrdom,
Oh,
such
yeah.
as we were talking about earlier with John Fox's Book of Martyrs.
Yeah.
And
It's,
people romanticize
yeah.
it too a lot.
Right. Oh,
Like,
yeah,
They
absolutely.
project
And
it, but they also romanticize
yeah,
their martyrdom and their
well, it's because
persecution.
they're so idealistic about it that they put it on a pedestal and apply all sorts of dogmatism to it that they
Yes.
wish they hadn't later.
Right. Absolutely.
But they're certain they're going to be looking down after they're gone.
Hey, as long as there's orthodoxy now, right? Like as long as we know what to believe now, that's all that matters.
Really? I mean, can they agree on any of this?
Yeah, no one agrees on anything. It's like
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
guys
even-
can't even get
even-
along within your own sect. So how do you expect me to buy
Exactly.
this bullshit? Come on now.
Even the early Christian church, like they had to resort to scheduling meetings and then getting there a day early and voting without the other person there, so that they could pass something, or they would call the emperor and be like, "Hey, this bishop needs to be excommunicated," and then, well, the other bishop heard about it, and so he called the emperor and said, "No, he needs to be excommunicated," and so then they would have to go and vote on who gets excommunicated. And then that's not good enough, so they appeal the excommunication. Like, it's what is going on here? This is politics, and it's like I said in my video. Like, Trump is not America. Trump is not what America is.
No.
Just like Jesus, that Christians worship, and the book that they read is not the Christianity of the early Christians, and to ignore that and to ignore the Gnostic influence on Christianity, even though Gnostic was highly influenced by Christianity, Gnosticism itself being stabilized before Orthodoxy came about, lent a lot of belief to current Christianity.
Oh yeah.
There has been sects and sectarian differences and schisms and all this throughout the whole history. When Jerry and I did the show on heresy, back on the show that shall remain nameless, we did a whole show on heresy. We went back through a lot of the old church fathers and a lot of the old groups like the Cathars and the Albigensians and the Valdensians and the Hussites and Thomas Müntzer and the just these little arguments that they cannot decide on, and so let's make another group. If there was an objective truth to all of this, wouldn't you think they'd all stay in one group?
Right. You would have some sort of cohesion.
Isolated from everybody else that doesn't get exposure to these other beliefs, and then 150 years later, they step outside and they're like, "Oh, you guys are freaking weird."
And of course, the whole, I one of the things I lecture a lot about is the Church of England and how that came about.
Bloody Mary.
Yeah, and Edward VI and Bloody Mary and Elizabeth, who probably had as many executions as Mary Tudor did.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
She probably executed as many people as Mary Tudor did, but they were Catholics, so they didn't count.
Right.
Oh, okay.
People just don't talk about it as much for
Right.
whatever weird reason that I've never understood. But,
well, it's because it was theologically justified. Like, it wasn't just a man-made law. Like, we're talking like this comes from up above. We can't question that.
You can't question that.
I
Because
understand not being able to question it. It's just weird to me that we don't talk about it now so much.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because originally or when the Messiah
Okay,
returns, anyways.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
You bleeped out, and then we switched places again.
Well, we've been on here a while. I'm sure everybody's getting tired, but
26 minutes,
yeah. Well, Dr. Misha, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Silver, thank you so much.
Jim. This has been fun, and it's nice to meet you, Silver.
Oh, it was great to meet you too, Misha. Thank you very much, Jim, for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Not a problem. You guys have a great night, and thank you guys so much for watching, and subscribe if you like it, and subscribe if you don't.
Absolutely. I'm actually going to go back and on my way to bed, I'm going to play the beginning of your stream so I can catch up.
Okay, well, you two lovely ladies have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.
Good night, Jim. Take care.
Bye.
Good night.
And it's ended.